All right, Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash, Yahweh, the only true, powerful, and holy name of who people ignorantly refer to as God. And in likewise manner, Yahweh Shai, the only true, powerful, and holy name of who people ignorantly refer to as Jesus Christ. Double honors due to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone, and peace, blessings, and safety to the Lord's elect out there. The brother Yeshaya. And this video is going to be centered around this word right here, pontificate. Now, through the Spirit had me thinking of this word, and I didn't know what it meant, but I must have picked it up somewhere from a TV show or something. I don't know, maybe a brother's video. But it led me to do this lesson, and I looked it up, and this is the word right here, pontificate, which means express one's opinions in a way considered annoyingly pompous and dogmatic. All right. So, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we got to be careful that we don't pontificate to brothers, because sometimes we get in these debates, especially when it's sitting around the scriptures. And, sometimes brothers can express their point or express their viewpoint or their opinion in a way that seems pompous or that seems, braggadocious or stubborn, or just like the definition says, annoyingly pompous, right? So, and I myself, have been, guilty of this before. All right. It's not like sometimes it's not like I try to, offend brothers, but sometimes, when we get into it or we're talking about a discussion, maybe the way sometimes I come off or portray my opinion is kind of harsh. All right, but it's no harm intended. All right, and hey, some brothers might have that same kind of diction to of your voice, how it carries that may offend another brother. All right, so we got to be careful about that. Especially like in these debates when we're in class or when we're talking to a brother. To hear a brother out and not to think that your way is the right way, even though you might be on point on the breakdown and you are right in that instance. Hey, you still gotta portray your opinion or viewpoint in a way that's not offensive to brothers. So without further ado, this is Colossians 4 and 5. Walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how you ought to answer every man. Because, like I said, all right, different brothers have different personalities, and maybe how you express yourself, it very well may be offensive to a brother. A brother might think you're yelling at him or screaming at him or being harsh to him, but that's just how you talk. All right, so that's why we always got to be considerate of our ways around brothers, because brothers have different ways and they interpret things differently. All right, we all come from different walks of life, and what really binds us together in one is Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, but we have different personalities, man. So just be mindful, all right. And I'm talking first and foremost to myself, how you portray your point, because hey, we stay conversing in the scriptures, in the dark sayings, all right. So these things are going to come up. A brother might not, get a breakdown, or you might not get a breakdown. But it's important that, when you're discussing these things, to be mindful, of how you answer a brother. All right. Proverbs 15 and 1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. So there you go. Okay. A soft answer. All right. And like I said, you might be right on a certain subject. You ain't got to be like, brother, you off, you wrong. Bam, bam. You can just be like, okay, brother, well, look at it this way, or look at it that way, and try to ease it to a brother, not, thinking that you're right, because these are not our words. All right. These are not our breakdowns. All right. The Lord simply is sharing it with us through the Holy Spirit, the Rakah HaKodash. So we always got to remember that. So, you might stand staunchly on a point, but you got to realize that, these are not your words. All right. So, hey, be mindful of that when you're talking and conversing with brothers, the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah. So there you go. Okay. You know, be swift to hear. All right. Don't overtalk brothers. Let brothers, get their viewpoint out. Let brothers, finish their point and then you talk. All right. The scriptures tell us how to converse with one, conversate with one another. Okay. Don't interrupt. It says not to interrupt the man in his speech. So, we have to operate as men, deal as men, especially when we, are discussing certain things, especially pertaining to the scriptures. James 1:19, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Okay. Got a couple more. I didn't want to make this too long. I think I hit the point, but this is Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 19. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. So you have to be very cognizant of how you say things to a brother, because you can very well offend a brother, and you don't want to be, found guilty of offending brothers. But it does happen. Okay, offenses must come. All right, so it will happen. But the Lord has it to where we have a guideline, all right, via the Holy Scriptures on how to deal with that thing or deal with anything when it comes up. And what I'm talking about, this thing right here is what? Offending. So gotta have this season your speech seasoned with salt, especially when you're dealing with brothers, man. With Christians, it doesn't matter. You can just let them have it. All right, just playing. But here it is. This is the book of Matthew chapter 18 and verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. So, hey, you have found guilty of offending one of the little ones, all right, which are, the elect, okay, because, hey, the little ones are the elect are looked at as the little ones of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So, hey, we have to have that respect in our minds that how we treat brothers is ultimately how we would treat Yahweh Shai. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'm ending with that, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, bishops, of great millstone. Peace, blessings, and safety to the Lord.